Hello, my brood. We've done 9 of these videos so far, and I haven't introduced myself yet. So, for video number 10, let's talk about who I am. I'm the autistic brood, and I was diagnosed in my 30s with autism spectrum disorder, central auditory processing disorder, and some mast cell condition, though we're not exactly sure which one. I was led down this path after a series of social failures that stretch all the way back to my childhood, but in particular, major ones that happened in 2023 and 2024. I was wondering my whole life, why are other people not struggling the same way that I am? And yeah, everybody has struggles, but I have those struggles, plus I seem to have all of these other ones as well. There is a definite difference between me and everybody else. And I first identified that when I was 11 or 12 or so. And I kind of promised myself that I would figure it out one day. It took another 20 years after that, but I finally got here to this point that I'm at now. But despite me coming on and trying to talk about these brain topics and these social interaction topics, I'm not a professional in psychology or psychotherapy or any kind of physiology. I actually work in IT. My job has spanned back for some 15 years or so now, working in computer networks and cybersecurity and programming and cloud technologies. It's really not that exciting. But what I really love doing is actually teaching karate. In one of my videos, I talked about the relationship between mental health and karate. And honestly, karate is my special interest. I take it everywhere that I go, and I think about it through the day. And while it's not as intense as it once was, it's now a way that I live my life. And I think that it's a comfortable spot for me to be because anywhere that I go, my special interest comes with me. I don't have to be in a particular place. I don't have to be speaking with particular people. I can just be happily in my mind working through knowledge and understanding about my special interest. While I might work in IT and I volunteer my time teaching karate, I actually do really want to become a psychotherapist or maybe a social worker, maybe a peer supporter. But psychotherapy as a professional is always what I've wanted to work towards. I've taken a couple psychology courses through my life. I'm trying to make the transition there. But as you may know, if you've ever looked into it, or as you might hope for someone who's supposed to be guiding you on a big part of your life, psychotherapy takes quite a lot of education. And it's difficult to find the time and energy for that when you're trying to work and volunteer to teach and just trying to keep up with all the life things that you have, even just having a social life. Trying to find time to take the courses is not easy. But it's this experience and this desire to work in the psychotherapy field that has kind of led me to make the content that I am making so far. I want to try and help other people, particularly other neurodivergent people, make sense of the world in a world where the resources are largely devoted to making sense of the neurotypical experience. And for example, when you get talking about the five basic senses, the five senses are breezed over. This is taste, and this is smell, and this is sound, and this is sight, and this is touch. And these are what they are, but nobody ever really talks about them in depth. Why does sound cause me physical pain? Why do certain smells cause me intense distress? Or when we get into other sensory issues, we often talk about interoception in the neurodivergent community without really diving into it very deeply. And if you're not familiar, interoception is the sense of how your body is doing. And it's not really relevant to so many neurotypical people because they don't struggle with their interoception. If they need to go to the bathroom, they know that they need to go to the bathroom. If they are hungry, they know they're hungry. Whereas our community is filled with people who are anxious and they don't know why. And it turns out that it's just because they haven't had a glass of water all day, or because their room is too warm, or because they just need the bathroom. It's these things where the world is filled with information for other people, but we often find ourselves left behind. And so, as I go on my journey, even though I'm not a professional and you shouldn't rely on my words and my ideas and my thoughts, I hope to help make some sense of the world for other people who are struggling to find this information for themselves. I have been criticized in these videos so far. I know that I'm new to YouTube, and getting my mic settings right is taking time. But people have asked why I talk so softly. Why do I use this voice? And the truth is that I want to try and give anyone listening something that they can either listen to for information or something that they can listen to just to help them settle their brain down. An aggressive, assertive voice, or someone who maybe talks very quickly, is not a good way to slow our anxious minds down. And so, even if you don't listen to the message that I'm trying to convey, maybe the speed at which I am conveying it and the tone which I'm speaking it will help you in other ways. I was inspired to do this by other YouTubers, most notably Courtney Literally, but also Morgan Foley and Mom on the Spectrum and Zarabeth and Purple Ella and Anna Gabriel. And each of them deliver such different ideas of how to publish content online. And I hope that what I do here can stand out differently, but also supportive. Each of us, I think, are delivering some important information that is relevant to people who resonate with us uniquely. And I hope that I can do that for some of you as well. Some people have wondered about my chicken in the image. That chicken is a real chicken. Her name is Gulta, and that picture is from when she was about 3 months old. And she is now a year and 3 weeks old or so. And the comb on her head is much larger. We had a joke, my artist and I, that we should, in every single autistic brood video, make that comb taller, just a couple pixels, nothing too much. But maybe we should grow that comb just a little bit every time. And while the joke is, funny, at least to me, we ultimately decided it was probably a lot of work for my artist and a bit of a pain for me to keep up with. And so we decided to just let it fall by the wayside. But to close this off, why the Autistics Brood? Why the Autistic Brood? Well, it's a joke. I'm sure that some of you see it already, but ultimately, autistic people tend to brood, as in think quietly, maybe negatively, maybe reflecting on trying to understand some circumstance that occurred. But also, we tend to come together in these broods, as in me and my autistic friends, or this autistic community that I'm in. And a brood of autistics does make sense for how we may often be perceived, and indeed how we do often tend to come across. Anyways, I know that this was a rambling video and it wasn't a particularly interesting one, but for number 10, I thought that we would take a brief step back and talk about who I am. So, with that, we'll leave it here for today, and I hope to publish more and more and more content in the weeks and months and years to come.